What's up, guys? Thanks for clicking the episode. Real quick, Black Friday is almost here, which means it's almost time for the biggest sale of the year over at thetimetellershop.com. Guys, if you're looking to get into your first vintage luxury watch, or maybe you just want to add another one to your collection because you're into that kind of thing, don't miss out, okay? Midnight Pacific, Friday, November 27th, that is the beginning of Black Friday. Do not miss out. Use this code, okay? Turkey time. You don't need to add that noise, but Turkey time will get you immense savings on every available watch. I am not restocking until Black Friday. You are gonna be mind blown at the watches we have, okay? Last year we sold out like within a day, and this year, I'm having even more ridiculous watches to choose from, so do not miss out. I don't want to hear about it. Oh, I didn't know you guys were having a sale, and then I showed up at the website too late. No. I'm telling you right now, use this code and save a whole bunch of money at my website, www.thetimetellershop.com. Okay, enjoy the episode. 2020 has been a very eventful year, to say the least, or maybe it's been an uneventful year. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's been a year, that's for sure. Well, actually, it's not even over yet, which is crazy because it seems like every time I close my eyes, an eternity passes. The only thing that's kind of keeping me well within any form of realistic time telling are these things we know and love, wristwatches. But, you know, wristwatches in and of themselves are fairly inconsequential, and like, what am I gonna do with this time? It's not like I'm gonna go and spend it wisely. It's not like I can go outside or interact with anyone at all. It's almost like I'm trapped inside this room. Or maybe I'm just trapped inside my head. Maybe this eternity is just a nightmare that keeps going on and on and on, and I hope that I wake up and things are different, but guess what? It never changes. It's just the same. It's just like I just am looking for something to make it stop. Oh, well, today we're going to be looking at every underrated release when it comes to wristwatches for the year of 2020. Again, this is so far because there probably will be some releases towards the end of the year, but we're getting towards the end of the year, and come on 2020, let's wrap it up! So without further ado, every underrated wristwatch release. Let's do it. In chronological order, mind you. That's right, I spent a lot of time on this episode. Please watch it. It's 1:54 p.m. Let's get down to business. Alright guys, so at the time of filming, November 2020, everyone's freaking out about Aorus's new in-house automatic movement, but over in January, at the beginning of the year, everyone was freaking out about this very, very cool Aorus Carryfort Reef Limited Edition. This is just a very nice, fancy, schmancy Aorus Aquis, and yeah, it's gorgeous, and it's a GMT. That's right guys, if the Aorus Aquis wasn't enough for you, well, you can get one in solid yellow gold with a GMT complication. Now, I don't know about you, I'm kind of a sucker for blue dial watches. I think they pulled it off very, very nicely. That deep blue dial, very dynamic, and that contrast with that 18 karat yellow gold, it's just gorgeous. The only thing they need to change is that integrated strap. I think it looks very nice, but one of my favorite things about watch collecting is the ability to change out the straps and bracelets as I see fit. Unfortunately, with this watch, or any watch with an integrated strap or bracelet system, you're gonna have to either go custom, as in fashion one yourself, or you're gonna have to choose the limited offerings from these companies. This is a gorgeous watch, incredibly functional. You're getting that water resistance rating. You're getting the tough, durable build of an Aorus, it being an Aorus Aquis, but you're getting the added flair of it being solid yellow gold and a GMT complication. It's gorgeous. There is one hang up though. There's only 50 of them out there, and each one is around $20,000. Well, it retailed for like $19,000, so you know. Also coming out in January, something kind of underrated because a lot of people didn't really talk about it, although I wish they had. The IWC Portuguese. Everyone loves this chronograph. Very, very prolific watch from IWC. However, this time around for 2020, they gave it an in-house caliber. Very, very cool. Now, there's not a whole lot I need to say about this watch, again, because many of us watch enthusiasts are all very familiar with the IWC Portuguese line, but we'll talk about the in-house movement a little bit. 46-hour power reserve, 28,800 BPH frequency. Let's see, they call it the IWC 69355. 69, yes!
Very nice. Borat.
See, I can make Borat jokes again because they just did Borat 2. Didn't see it. That was a terrible Borat impression. Anyway, IWC caliber 69355. Yes, I am a 12-year-old boy.
How much? You'll never get this. But then he break out of cage and he get this.
Moving on to one of my favorite releases in 2020. Now guys, again, I need to clarify, this list isn't of my favorites of the year. It's all the underrated releases of the year. So this one just happens to be underrated, and it's also one of my favorites, the Montblanc Heritage Mono Pusher Chronograph. This is the steel variant with the salmon dial. Ooh. Who doesn't like a little bit of salmon? Am I right? Put a bear. Put a picture of a bear. Because if bears eat salmon, I'm depressed. Man, the simplicity in this chronograph, and then all the little dynamic touches, the texturing on the dial, the beautiful grooves on those dual registers, you know, it doesn't get much more simple than a mono push chronograph. However, when it comes to the watchmaking, very, very complex. For some reason, mono push chronographs are a little bit more complex than dual push chronographs. I don't know why. I am not a watchmaker. I don't know anything about watches. I just see salmon and I'm like, me likey, me hungry. All around, this is just a stunner of a watch. It's absolutely gorgeous. I really do love those contrasts between that salmon and then the coolness of the steel, and then of course blue hands, blue chronograph hand, blue dual register hands. It's just a really nice watch. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Very, very expensive though. Actually, I misspoke, okay? This isn't that expensive. It retailed initially for around $49.50, so just under $5,000. But, you know, I don't know what it is right now. This was released around March, so the prices have most likely changed. So yeah, I think this is a whole lot of watch for an under $5,000 retail price. Real quick, I mixed up this watch's price to the Montblanc Salmon Dial Pulsograph's price, which is around $33,000. They look very similar. This one's my favorite because it's a mono pusher, but that pulsograph, also gorgeous, and I would love to have it. A little bit more expensive though. Okie dokie. Also coming out in March 2020 was a watch that's kind of another rendition of a watch some of us are very familiar with. We all know about Brigade and their Classique line. Very, very prolific dress watches, incredibly detailed. Some are more complicated than others. Some, you know, just two hands, some have a nice small seconds, and some have a whole lot going on the dial. And this one, the new Brigade Classique 7137, is one of those fairly complicated offerings. Rose gold, beautiful guilloche pattern on the dial. Man, that moon phase complication offset. You know, this is one of those watches that you could argue is fairly busy, and by no means is it symmetrical, but it's still beautiful. And guys, you flip the watch over and the texturing doesn't stop there. The rotor has like a guilloche pattern. It's just crazy. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. You can get them in white gold. You can get them, I guess, here also in rose gold, or maybe they call it pink gold. Oh, blue or silvered gold dial colors as well. Very fancy. But guys, speaking of that rotor, it's 18 karat gold. So none of these stupid non-precious metals. What am I, a peasant? But with this watch, you are getting moon phase, age indicator, date, power reserve indicator, and just all around ridiculous detail. And guys, as much as I love this watch, I probably won't be getting one this year because each one is $40,000. Please shop at the Time Teller shop. Alrighty, towards the end of March, a very, very interesting watch was released into the world. Okay, Audemars Piguet, a company that we love, hate, I don't know. They've become the Royal Oak, right? That's kind of the company's name right now. This watchmaker has just been putting out different iterations of the Royal Oak for so long that we want something different. So then they did something different. That code 1159 or whatever they call it. Yeah, when we saw that, we were like, go back, go back, go back. But the good news is that AP kind of listened to us and they were like, whoa, 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 okay, we'll go back, we'll go back. And they went way back and they offered the AP Remaster 01, which is an automatic chronograph. Now, I have a few complaints about this watch. Now, it is almost an exact reissue of a very, very old AP chronograph. And you know, I'm a bit of a vintage guy myself, so it is gorgeous in my opinion. It is just such a nice three-register chronograph, blued hands, you get that nice gold dial, you get that rose gold bezel and the rose gold pushers and those fancy lugs. It's just amazing. The one complaint is that they bumped it up to 40 millimeters. Now, is 40 millimeters enormous? Absolutely not. However, the original was 36 millimeters, and I think it would have been that much more badass to see them release a 36 millimeter automatic chronograph. I know, nowadays, 40 millimeters, pretty standard. Not a huge complaint, just wanted to bring it up. But guys, I think it's incredible that AP wanted to kind of harken back to their 1943 chronograph and give us something like this. And I don't want to read into this too much, but the fact that it's a remaster 01 kind of leads me to believe there might be some more remasters on the way. And guys, vintage AP, incredible. So if they wanted to give us a few more modern renditions of their vintage offerings, I'm not complaining. All right, moving on to Abril. That's Spanish for April. I'm a very cultured person. You know, I was planning on traveling a lot this year. 2020, it just wasn't in the cards for this year, but I'm a little bit of a Renaissance man. I've been everywhere. Mostly New England and Canada. New England's actually still in the US, and Canada, still pretty much America, just, you know, a lot nicer over there. And poutine! Love poutine. All the Canadians are super mad that I said they're basically American, because they're like, no, we're not, okay? Don't you know we're not American, eh? But they're way too nice to actually get upset about it, so they're like, oh, I'm gonna write this guy a really angry email. Hey there, bud. Really wish you didn't call us a Yank, because we're not, eh? And then they're not even gonna send it, because they're gonna be like, you know what? He seems like a nice guy. He doesn't need this email. I love my Canadian brethren. Anyway, in April, we got a very nice Montblanc released 1858 split-second chronograph. Unfortunately, this is limited edition. Now, this isn't one of my favorites. Again, this list is not made up of my favorites. It's just some unsung heroes of 2020, and this is a watch that I think a lot of people could get behind, but no one really wanted to talk about it. Very interesting color scheme. Of course, we're getting that really nice contrast between blue and orange. It just pops. And guys, I said 2020 was the year for titanium. This is titanium. A ton of watches came out in titanium, but yeah, I don't know. I think because there wasn't a Basel World, there wasn't an SIHH convention, there weren't all these shows that we expect to have all this media attention on, at least, you know, watch-related media. We didn't really see everything at one time. That's kind of the purpose of this video. So yeah, split-second chronograph, titanium, very, very cool, limited to 100 pieces. Really nice contrast, very, very complicated movement. We look through that display case back and we see a very complex movement back there. Really, really gorgeous. And yeah, I think it deserves a little bit more attention. And bada bing, bada boom, speaking of titanium, here's an offering that came out in April as well that I thought would get a little bit more hype in the watch world, but it didn't, which is crazy because the normal offerings from this brand within this series are very, very common and very well loved. However, these new titanium models, no one talks about, and I don't even know a person that owns one, but the Hamilton Khaki Field Titanium. That's right, we want titanium this year. Hamilton wanted to give it to us. Now, still no threaded crown, which is ridiculous because why not? It would make the watch that much more functional and maybe people would actually start using it as a competent field watch. But hey, sapphire crystal, titanium case, the only real complaint other than the threaded crown or lack thereof is that on the side of the case, going from pretty much like the 11 o'clock all the way down to the 7 o'clock in big letters, it says titanium. Cool! Now, one cool thing about these watches, you know, they are titanium, but also they have that Cal H10 with the 80-hour power reserve. Very, very impressive. Yeah, they look great. Nice contrast on the dial, very high visibility. And, you know, if they're anything like my Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical and my automatic, they probably have some very good lume as well. So, yeah. Okay, now I'm seeing it goes from the 10 o'clock to like the 8 o'clock, so a little bit smaller, but still. Why? Why does it need to be there? It doesn't. It doesn't need to be there. Stop doing that. Next up, a watch I pretty much have never seen on Instagram, which is crazy because a lot of the time I learn about watches on Instagram. The Hermes Slim DMS GMT. Hermes Slim DMS GTS in rose gold. I hope you put subtitles there because I was not speaking any language that anyone is familiar with at all. Now, Hermes is seen as a fashion company, and I don't blame people for seeing them as such because they are. They make a lot of very high-end leather goods and handbags, and yeah, I actually have a tie from Hermes that Connie got me in Paris. Wow, haven't had to wear a tie for a very long time because I've been trapped inside my freaking off. There's like ringing in my ears. I think I actually blew a blood vessel. I live in this office, you know, guys. Like, I'm not allowed outside. You guys think I do things? No. And you think that it's like a big room? It's not. It ends right here. I'm touching the wall, and right here. And then that is a fake backdrop. There's just, I don't know, man. Sometimes it feels like the wall are closing in on me, and then sometimes it feels like there's nothing. You know what? What is back there? Hold on, guys. What is back here anyway? What is back there? Guys, I gotta be honest. Whether they're a fashion company or not, I think this watch is pretty beautiful. Again, I go back and forth with these asymmetrical dials. I think if it's done well, then I like it. And if I deem it to be ugly, then I don't like it. But, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm gonna be honest, I tend to value some form of symmetry. But again, with some of these watches, it's just so nicely done, so gorgeous. Very interesting dial layout without being too confusing. Like some of these really wonky dials, you can't even tell the time. Whereas this, I like it. I think it's kind of out there, but not too out there to be functional. Yeah, that's how I'll put it. You're getting a GMT complication, you're getting date and day, you're getting L and H indicator, which is your local time or your home time indicator, all powered by the Hermes ultra thin caliber H1950 automatic with a gorgeous micro rotor. All around a very detailed watch, and a watch a lot of people wouldn't consider to, you know, I don't know what to say, because I consider Hermes to have a very impressive watch lineup when, you know, they're a fashion company. There, I'm gonna say it. They are a fashion company. But they make some very nice watches. Moving on to a watchmaker that's absolutely not a fashion company, Vacheron Constantin. This is a watch, you know, Vacheron had a lot of releases in 2020, so I don't blame, you know, the watch world for missing out on some of them. Some were very hyped up and very talked about, and some just weren't. This was one that didn't get enough media attention, I don't think. And again, guys, when I say media attention, I'm talking about watch-related media. I know that these aren't going to be like household names because the watch world is fairly small. But I'm talking about the VC, La musique du temps, le cabinetier, rang complication, split-second chronograph, tempo. People complain when I don't try to pronounce things in the native tongue, and I'm trying. As if the dial wasn't complicated enough, you flip the watch over and no, it's not a display case back, it's like a whole other watch. So one side is dedicated to time and calendar, and yes, you're getting a perpetual calendar and a split-second chronograph. But then you flip the watch over and you see the tourbillon and some astronomical indicators, and oh yeah, did I mention it's a freaking minute repeater? And guys, I know I tend to like my watches well within that kind of 40mm sweet spot, sub 40 millimeters if you want to be perfect. But yeah, this is about a 50mm watch. I'm never gonna wear one though because it costs like $1 bajillion. Moving on to, you know, more towards the end of April, we got a Baume and Mercier Clifton day date moon phase. Now, when we're talking about moon phase watches, you know, when I first got into watches, I thought that complication was the pinnacle of opulence, and I think they pulled it off very, very nice and somewhat fancifully. You know, just a very symmetrical watch for the most part. The only thing that's a little bit asymmetrical is that on one side you have Baume and Mercier, and then the other one you say Baumatic. So different signage on, you know, either side of the dial, but overall very symmetrical watch. You can get it in steel or let's see, I believe that's rose gold. Unfortunately, I think this company doesn't get a lot of airtime. I gotta be honest, I've never reviewed one on this channel, so it's partially my fault, but I'm trying to remedy that by letting you know this watch came out in 2020. Hey, if you're looking for a nice moon phase, take a look. Okay, so while that Baume at Mercier was very, very symmetrical, that gorgeous moon phase, this series of watches, not super duper symmetrical. I'm talking about the Cartier, well, there's 3 of them, and they're ridiculous. They're all part of the Rotonde de Cartier series, and I'm talking about the Mysterious Hour skeleton, the Grand Complication skeleton, and the Cartier Minute Repeater Mysterious Double Tourbillon. These watches have so much going on. It's crazy because I think there's a lot of watchmaking going on here, and for some reason not a lot of people spoke about them. I think that Cartier also is unfortunately written off as being a bit of a fashion watch jewelry company, but two things can be true at the same time. Cartier can be very well known for their jewelry, and they can also be very well known in watchmaking, and I think that these guys are definite heavy hitters when it comes to watchmaking. Just take a look at this double tourbillon. 18 karat pink gold, caliber 94070, minute repeater, double tourbillon. It's, let's see, 448 parts and 45 joules. It's got a 3.5 day power reserve. It's only water resistant to 30 meters. Ew, get it out of my face. I'm not wearing that trash. Just dropped my phone because I'm so disgusted with this trash watch. And here's how you know it's crazy watchmaking, because when I tried to look up the price, I have to actually write to Cartier. They're not gonna tell us the price unless I actually go speak to them. Wow. All right, now moving into May 2020, we have a Bell & Ross Flight Instruments, or do they call it Aviation Instruments? I don't know. It's a BR0392 HUD edition. That's right, heads up display. If any of you pilots out there, or you know, people like me that just play video games and pretend to be something cool and not something stupid like a guy that yells at a camera all day. I can pretend to be whatever I want in the video game world. If I want to be an athlete, I can do that. If I want to be some space invader hero, I can do that. If I just, you know, want to be an animal that lives on an island or something, I can do that too. If I want to have, you know, friends or like girls that like me, I could just, you know, anything's possible. Anything's possible in the virtual world. But this very cool watch, you know, I gave Bell & Ross a hard time for their BR01, I think it was. Just a really ugly watch, just kind of too on the nose with the theme of, you know, blue dial, integrated bracelet, stainless steel, just kind of thoughtless and just kind of a throwaway watch as far as the design goes. I really do like Bell & Ross with their kind of square flight instrument watches, and this is, it looks like a heads-up display. You're getting that really nice contrast between the darker green and that very bright neon green, very high visibility, and very good lume. I wish more people learned about this because I was hoping that there would be more pictures to look at, but all you get are the media photos. So, yeah. Really cool Bell & Ross. They make some really badass pilot's watches, guys. Next up, a company that I'm gonna have, you know, difficulty pronouncing, Parmigiani Fleurier Tondograph Rose Gold Slate. All right, that wasn't that bad. But this is a watch, I think Parmigiani watches are fairly ugly for the most part. I'm just not a big fan of them. They do make ridiculous watches. Like, I think they know their stuff when it comes to watchmaking. I'm just saying that a lot of them aren't my cup of tea. This one also isn't really my cup of tea. I think it has a lot going on. I think the lugs are too big. I think the dial is asymmetrical in a way that is not pleasing to me. I don't like the screws holding the tourbillon. It's not my cup of tea. Still a very impressive watch. And if you don't want to take my word for it, just look at the case back. You can see a ridiculous movement in there. Very highly finished. You can tell they spent a lot of time with this watch. 65-hour power reserve, manual wind, 21,600 VPH, excuse me, 29 joules. You're getting hours, minutes, small seconds, tourbillon, chronograph, and power reserve indicator. Very impressive. Not a lot of airtime was given to this watch. I don't think it's the most beautiful watch on the list, but deserves to be mentioned, and yeah, definitely one of the more underrated offerings for 2020. So guys, I don't know about you, I have 2 older siblings, and we argue about really stupid things, one of which being how to pronounce those colored wax things that you draw with. I don't want to influence your pronunciation. How do you pronounce it? Type it in the comment section. Is it crayon or crayon? I grew up saying crayon, like C-R-A-N, but as an adult, now I say crayon. I don't know. I always thought crayon sounded like a laser beam or something. Hit him with the crayon cannon. I didn't have very many friends growing up. But around end of May 2020, the Crayon Anywhere Universal Sunrise Sunset was released, and actually it is a fairly nice looking watch. It's definitely a different take on this complication. When we look at it, you know, you get some really nice guilloche on the center dial, and then there's some really cool texturing over towards the AM PM indicator where you see that sun kind of rotating around. Very, very cool. And me personally, I think the case back is just as impressive. I think it's a gorgeous watch. Rose gold, guys, come on, rose gold, pink gold, that's like the hot thing right now. I think we need to bring back yellow gold, in my opinion, and definitely white gold. But this is not a well-known watchmaker, and I'm just happy to give them some exposure here because I think this watch was a very unique offering for 2020. And they have a blue variant with kind of a powder blue for the day, and then again that dark starry night for the night. But I prefer the lighter dial variant because I think it's just, you know, that much more dynamic, and I'm a sucker for cream dials, so yeah. And drum roll please, moving on to another watch that is underrated and also perhaps one of my favorite on the list, the Ferrier, who I think is better than Longa. The classic Origin Opelin, man, gorgeous watch, so sleek and smooth how that case just kind of flows into the lugs, not a whole lot going on the dial. You can see that gorgeous kind of contrast between the clean white and then you get that nice almost burgundy red on the markers. It's just a gorgeous watch. Small seconds, nothing you don't need. It's just a beautiful, simple, sharp, sleek watch. And the movements, the way they finish their movements. I love this company. I absolutely love this company. I don't know when I'll be able to get a watch from them because they're incredibly expensive, but white gold, man. So here's what's interesting. All the indexes are white gold, but the case is grade 5 titanium. So it's gonna be a light watch, it's gonna be a strong watch. You're getting very interesting materials used in combination. 80-hour power reserve, manual wind. It's a beautiful, 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 beautiful watch, beautiful watch. And it was available in July, but it was announced, kind of released to the watch media around, let's see, I think I already told you. It was announced early July, released end of July 2020. Gorgeous watch. Moving on to a company I get a ton of questions about, and I think a lot of you guys out there really do have love for this company, so I'm sure some of you already know about this watch, but again, not a lot of hype around this brand nowadays. Fortis, with their Fortis Fleurier F43 bicompacts. These are kind of, you know, Fortis is known for some of their older, sportier, vintage chronographs, but this is kind of just a remake, a modern take on a bicompact chronograph. It's a German watchmaker. They're very well known for their pilots, you know, their tool watches, and these are some heavy-duty, tough chronographs. Stainless steel case, they've got a proprietary material called Brixtrax for their indexes, 200 meter water resistance rating, really great lume. Yeah, reference number 8431011M for the metal bracelet and 8431011L for the leather strap. My recommendation, get it on the bracelet and then change it out for whatever strap you want, but always get that bracelet, you know, up front so that you have that option instead of having to go through the hassle of buying one second hand. It's just, yeah, just get the bracelet. Beautiful watch. You know, you're getting the 6 o'clock date complication. If you have to have a date complication on your chronograph, that's where it should be. Very, very functional, very high visibility. Not super simple. It is dual register, but also not terribly busy. So really nice contrast. Really great tool watch, like an actual functional watch here. Moving on to a watch that was released, I think around August, let me look. End of August, GirardPerregaux for their Lariato, which is, I give this company a hard time because it's essentially an AP Royal Oak homage, but they were making these watches for a very long time as well, so it does have that Royal Oak kind of aesthetic on the angular bezel, integrated bracelet, stainless steel, but this Lariato Infinity 42mm with its dark dial and really nice contrast with those gold indexes, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Apparently, all my notes say that it's going to be limited to, or it was limited to 88 pieces, so I'm not a huge fan of limited edition watches, but very underrated release for 2020. 100-meter water resistance rating, onyx dial, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. If you gave me this, well, if you gave me this and a Royal Oak, I'd have both, but if you gave me the option to choose between this, specifically the onyx with the gold indexes, or a Royal Oak, I would choose this. The Lariato is gorgeous, gorgeous, and I'm very happy with this release. I'm speaking as if I own one. I don't own one. I'd love one. Maybe someday. Moving on to what I think is the second Brigade on the list. Now, this is a watch I did see mentioned on Instagram a little bit because it's very impressive to look at, but still not a whole lot of people talking about it. The Brigade Tradition Quanti Retrograde 7597. I'm sorry for all the accents, guys. I'm trying to have fun. This watch is ridiculous. I don't think I'd ever wear, like, even if I had the money, I'm not sure I'd wear a watch like this on my wrist because I don't know how I feel about these little dinky offset dials to tell the time, but there's no doubt about it. This is a crazy complicated, crazy impressive watch. I don't know how you can look at this watch and not be floored. It's just ridiculous. You can see everything. It's just nuts. And as if the front wasn't ridiculous, look at the back. You can see that rotor. It's just, I mean, what is going on? It's a nuts watch. If it were my choice to choose white gold or pink gold, typically I would choose white gold because I think that whole stealth wealth, like undercover vibe is really cool. But for some reason in this iteration, I would choose the pink gold. But either way, it's gonna cost you around $38,000, whichever one you choose. All right, and second to last on the list when it comes to very underrated releases for 2020, the Ferdinand Berthoud, or Berthoud? I don't know how to pronounce it, but we'll call it the FB, Chronometer FB2RE. This is a watch that I've seen before, not in person, but when this was released, I saw all the media photos and I thought that it was a little bit too chunky, lugs a little bit too thick, case a little bit too thick. And then I saw the case back and the movement, and I learned about what was going on and how it's chain driven. And I was like, whoa, take back everything I said. Ridiculous movement, guys, let's talk about it. Special thanks to Jack Forrester for doing a very nice, concise write-up of this crazy movement. And he goes actually in great detail talking about it. But here's the part that I really want to bring up with you. 58 joules, deadbeat seconds. You're getting a 285mm chain, a 50-hour power reserve. It's of course COSC certified. And guys, this is such a ridiculous watch. They're actually only making 10 of them. And it's gonna be over $210,000. What? And last but not least, the final watch that I think is pretty underrated when it comes to releases for 2020, the Longines Heritage Militaire Marine Nationale. Now this has a beautiful kind of custard dial. It looks almost patinated, so if you hate faux patina, this is not the watch for you. Here's where I think this watch really shines. So one of my awesome certified T3 Bot channel members and a moderator here on the channel, B-Hags, Bryson, he sent me a very, very old school vintage Longines that doesn't look too different than this watch. The difference is that my Longines that he gifted me, it's going into service. It's, you know, a very, very, very old watch that's probably older than my parents and, you know, my grandparents could have worn it. And I'm gonna have to treat that watch very differently than I would a modern watch. This iteration, the new Longines Heritage Militaire Marine Nationale, you could wear this as a modern day watch. You wouldn't have to baby it. You wouldn't have to worry about it. So do I love my authentically old Longines? Absolutely. When I get it back from service and we get a new crystal for it, I'm gonna be wearing that all day long. However, definitely gonna have to treat that differently than if I were to wear one of these modern watches. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds. Hannah Montana. Never watched that show. I was a little bit too old for it. A little bit weird that I was that good at singing the theme song there, though. But what I mean is that, you know, you can have a very old school aesthetic while having the benefit and the peace of mind of wearing a modern watch. 38.5 millimeters, well within that sweet spot, powered by the Longines L888.5 automatic, 64-hour power reserve. Really nice dial, in my opinion. I know, again, guys, if you hate patination, this is probably not for you. Beautiful kind of speckling on the dial. Looks old. And best part, well, I don't want to say it's the best part because it's still a pretty penny, and I don't want to, you know, step on anyone's toes, but it's going to be around $2,000. So I think with the way Longines is going, they could have asked much more money for this watch, but I think $2,000 is fairly affordable for this watch. Again, not very complicated. I know a bunch of people will be like, well, I'd rather get a field watch for a lot less money from Hamilton. Yeah, that's true. I love my Hamilton field watches, and those are great watches as well, and they're a lot more affordable. But if you're looking for an essential reissue of an old school Longines military watch, then $2,000 I think is fairly reasonable. And again, I think a lot of what Longines does is overpriced anyway, but I feel like they could have been like $4 grand. But this is nice to see them being somewhat level-headed about the pricing. And there you have it, guys. 20, I think it's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Wow! 20 underrated releases for the year of 2020. Now, guys, again, these aren't my favorite watches for 2020. Probably closer, maybe even in January, maybe even 2021. I'll do a recap of my favorite releases for 2020. But these are some watches that so far I think deserve to be mentioned, and hopefully, you know, this wasn't an in-depth review of any of these, but hopefully this gives you a bit more information so you can at least, you know, ooh, I like that one. Let me look a little bit more up on it. So yeah, hopefully this kind of plants a seed in your head, and maybe you can do your own research if any of these pique your interest. And if you want some more information, feel free to ask me, I guess. Right, that's why I'm here. You can ask me, I guess. But if you learned something new, if you had a good time, and if, you know, you want to learn more, then feel free to subscribe. I urge you to do so. And please click that bell icon, because YouTube is doing a very poor job of telling my subscribers when I upload. So when you click that bell icon, it gives you the best chance of being notified every time I upload, and I upload all the time. We do like 4 pieces of content a week for everyone, and then if you're a channel member, you get 2 extra pieces of content a week, plus access to that members only Discord chat. So please, $4.99 a month gets you that certified T3 bot designation. It's like YouTube's Patreon. You click that join button next to that subscribe button, and you really do help us out. Check out all the affiliate links in the description below, and yeah, check out my personal website, www.thetimetellershop.com. There's a whole bunch of ways to support us, but the easiest way to support us is just to keep doing what you're doing and watching the content. And yeah, guys, we really appreciate you being here and getting us past 140,000 subscribers. It's all because of you. All right, guys, please stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it. That bit was so good. Oh my God, that was so good.